Well, in the previous sessions, we have done all about the drama. That is, we have understood what the origin and forms of drama were and the elements of drama, and also the Renaissance to Restoration, right? And then again, under which we've done a study of Macbeth, which was written by William Shakespeare. And then we had The Rivals, which is by Richard B. Sheridan. Then again, coming to the third block, that is modern English drama, where we have learned a bit an introduction of modern drama, and then Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw, and then A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen. Then again, coming to the block 4, that is the module 4, where we have learned about the American and African drama, and under which we have done Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller and Congi's Harvest by Walt Soyinka. Now, today we are going to take up Indian drama in English and English translations. So, just let me give you a brief introduction of the drama as in Indian context. Not the English drama or Indian drama in English, but Indian drama as such. How did it actually, what is its historical background, the origin, and what was it looking at the drama of the ancient days? Right. So before we start with the Indian drama in English, let me just talk about the Indian drama, which can be traced to Sanskrit literature. So Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra, and then Ramachandra Gunachandra's Abhinaya Darpanat, and Abhinav Gupta's Abhinaya Bharati are the ancient treatises which describe the essentials of stagecraft like plot, construction, characterization, dialogues, music, dance postures, stage setting. The golden age of Sanskrit drama could give equal impetus to social comedies like the Nritya and melodramas like the Malati Madhava, romantic tragic comedies like Shakuntala, and the heroic plays like Veni Samhara, historical plays like Mudra Rakshasa, and romantic comedies like Ratnavali, allegorical plays like Prabhu Daya, and satirical farces like Mata Vilasa Prahasana. Bhasa is the oldest known dramatist. His masterpieces, Urubanga and Dutavakya and Karna, are known for their tragic intensity and dramatic style. So I'm just kind of giving you a glimpses of our ancient dramas and plays, which is not new, but which was very much there. And uh, it is as older than in as in Western literature. Now, as when Indian drama was at its zenith, the Western countries were in chaos. Indian drama came 2000 years before Aristotle's monumental work, Poetics. Right. And now, after the Sanskrit drama ceased to be acted and was read only as literature, the theatre of the people flourished for many centuries and catered to the Indian masses. The old splendor and fullness of drama was gone, but people still needed relaxation and entertainment. Thus arose folk forms like Jatra and Nautanki in Bengal, Bhand Jashan in Kashmir, Rasadari plays in Mathura, Ram Leela in northern India, Bhavai in Gujarat, Lalita Kele, and Dashavatar and Tamasha in Maharashtra. Yakshagna, Yakshagana, Bayalata, Atadata, Sonata in Karnataka. Then Vidi Natakam in Andhra Pradesh. and Kutiyattam, Mohiniyattam, and Kathakali dance dramas in Kerala. So now these variegated forms of entertainment had but very little merit as literature, but they conveyed to the people the essentials of Indian culture. So drama is a composite art form. Now it is mimetic like all other performing arts in literature. It imitates life, particularly reflecting the three unities of time, place, and action. It is designed for representation on the stage by actors who act the parts of the characters of its story and among whom the narrative and the dialogue are distributed. Though India has a long and fertile history in drama, starting from Sanskrit plays of Vedic age, which we have just discussed, the Indian English drama started its innings only in the 19th century with the publication of Krishna Mohan Banerjee's The Persecuted in 1813. It was a social play. It brought to light the conflict between the East and the West. Now, it was only after the British set up their regime in India that the crippled Indian drama received new strength and witnessed a revival. Now, it actually, as I already mentioned, it made a humble beginning with the publication of Krishna Mohan Banerjee's The Persecuted in 1831. However, the real journey of Indian English drama began with Michael Madhusudan Dutt's Is This Called Civilization, which appeared on the literary horizon in 1871, though it was not followed by a sustainable creative effort for decades together. Among the various forms of Indian writing in English, drama seems to lag far behind poetry and fiction. After a long hiatus of few decades, it was only by the early 20th century that Indian English drama gathered momentum under the influence of British drama. There are plausible reasons for the arrested growth of Indian English drama. Now, the problems, if you look at it into it, is there could be it's because of lack of understanding in case of a few playwrights regarding the structure of the plays, as the so-called acts of the plays were not acts in real but scenes. Language has remained a major obstacle to almost all the playwrights of this era. Many playwrights had tried to overcome this problem but could not succeed. Well, after a lull of a few decades, now Indian English drama came back to life in the 20th century. Now, the pre-independent Indian playwrights, if you look at the most famous and the popular ones could be the Rabindranath Tagore's plays and Sri Aurobindo Ghosh and T.P. Kailasam, A.S.P. Iyer, Harindranath Chattopadhyaya, Bharati Sarabhai, and so on. And their work signaled the coming back of Indian English drama. Now, Rabindranath Tagore and Sri Aurobindo Ghosh, two great names in Bengal Renaissance, held the light for the onward march of the Indian English drama. Now, talking a bit about Rabindranath Tagore, has been called the father of modern Indian stagecraft. His dramatic achievements include Sannyasi or the ascetic, The King and the Queen, Chitra, Malini, and Sacrifice, Gandhari's Prayer, and Karna and Kunti. Now, the King of the Dark Chamber, The Post Office, The Cycle of Spring, Muktadhara, Red Oleanders, Natharpula, and Chandalika. Now, in these plays, Tagore has dealt with philosophical, religious, political, social issues, and in some of them presented Indian myths and legends. Now, coming to Sri Aurobindo, is an uncontestably outstanding figure in Indo-Anglian literature. To his credit, he has even 11 verse dramas, 5 of them Perius, the Deliverer, Vasavadatta, Rodogna, the Viziers of Basora, and Eric are complete 5-act plays. The Witch of Elni, Akab and Isara Dawn, The Maiden, the Mill, The House of Brood, The Birth of Sin, and Prince of Edda are incomplete. Now, most of Sri Aurobindo's plays are mythological or legendary. As regards the theme and its setting, Perseus, the Deliverer, has a theme drawn from Greek mythology. The Viziers of Basora from the stories of the Arabian Nights. Only Vasavadatta has a genuinely Indian theme and setting. Now, this also reflects how the world literature has influenced Indian writers. Now, according to Sri Aurobindo, the superiority of Indian drama lies in its civilized approach to the main issues of life and in its equally civilized way of presenting characters. This is the view of one who has mastered the Western as well as Indian drama. Now, coming to T.P. Kailasam, that is Tyagaraja Paramasiva Kailasam, popularly known as T.P. Kailasam, was both a great playwright and a talented actor. He was very intelligently taken up his themes and characters from the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, two great epics of ancient India. Now, coming to Harindranath Chattopadhyay, added a radical social dimensions to Indian English drama. His social plays ignite protest and revolution. He wrote devotional, social, and historical plays. His social plays, The Windows, The Parrots, The Sentry Lantern, The Coffin, and The Evening Lamps are realistic and didactic. So, despite the efforts and encouragements from the governments, Indian English drama experienced no sign of growth in the post independence period. But plays written in regional languages flourished in the Indian theatre. Um, but plays written in regional languages flourished in Indian theatre like Nisam Ezekiel, Girish Karnad, Pritish Nandi, Pratap Sharma, and Muralidas Melwani contributed in the development of Indian theatre. The post-independence Indian English drama was benefited by increasing interest of the foreign countries in Indian English literature in general and Indian English drama in particular. The most prolific playwright of the post-independence period is Asif Karim Boy, who wrote and published more than 30 plays. Now, very recently, Indian English drama has shot into prominence. Younger writers like Mahesh Dattani, Manjula Padmanabhan have infused new life into this branch of writing. He has published forceful plays like Where There Is a Will, Final Solutions, and Tara. He writes about mean, ugly, unhappy things of life, whereas Padmanabhan projects a dehumanized, terrifying world in which mothers sell their sons for the price of rice. So, drama in various languages has shown a marked development. It has not done so in Indian English. A study of Vijay Tendulkar, Badal Sarkar, and Girish Karnad clearly shows that they are the symbols of the new resurgence in their own areas and have made bold innovations, fruitful experiments, and given new directions which go in the history of Indian drama as significant marks of achievement. So here are post-independence playwrights like G.V. Desani, Pratap Sharma, Nasim Ezekiel, and Lakhan Deb and Gurcharan Das, Deena Mehta. Now look at looking at the influence of world drama on Indian English playwrights. Aurobindo was a voracious reader and had gone through literatures of other countries as well. He was impressed by the world classics. His Perseus the Deliverer draws its theme from Greek mythology. His Viziers of Basora is inspired by stories from the Arabian Nights. Like Shakespeare, he wrote poetic plays and flavored them with elements from classical Sanskrit literature. Perseus and Deliverer has all elements of an Elizabethan tragedy, but follows the tradition of a happy ending as in Hindu or Greek drama. Now, the theme of Perseus and Andromeda represents Aurobindo's views on nationalism and freedom. Tagore's plays are an amalgamation of Bengali folk drama, Sanskrit drama, and Western theatrical devices. Though rooted in classical Indian traditions, he reached out to Western models in his play. Now, Tagore's plays are similar to the plays of the Irish playwright W.B. Yeats, as they both use the techniques of symbolism. Apart from Shakespeare, Indian dramatists were also influenced by G.B. Shaw, Yeats, Giradox, and O'Neill. Several Indian playwrights are indebted to Western thinkers like Camus, Pinter, Beckett, and recently Brecht. So T.P. Kailasam, whose style is compared to Ibsen and Shaw, wrote his play Karna on similar traditions. Shaw, Satter, Beckett, Giradox, and Camus went back to the myth and history to give a message to contemporary society. In the late 60s and early 70s, a group of contemporary Indian playwrights like Pratap Sharma, Nassim Ezekiel, Gurucharan Das, Asif Karamboy, Ganesh Karnad, and Mahesh Dattani had to deal with literary conflicts as in symbolic of their period of social, political, cultural transition. Now, they had to choose between portraying the country's rich cultural past and its colonial past, and had at their disposal traditional as well as Western modes of theatrical expressions. So they wanted their plays to achieve universalization of the themes. Karnad also uses the technique of play within a play in Hayavadana and The Fire and the Rain. Mahesh Dattani's works also show great influence of Brecht. He uses Brechtian techniques of induction, prologue, play within the play, direct speech, aside, address to the audience, devices such as music, dance, plastic art, pantomime, mimicry, gesticulation, and lighting. The multi-level sets and multi-level characterizations in Dattani's plays are examples of a blending of Western stagecraft and the technique of Indian folk theatre. Besides this, the American playwrights Tennessee Williams and Arthur Miller have influenced Dattani's stagecraft. Dattani has a very strong urge and affinity for Indianness. He uses Indian dramatic devices and techniques in ample measures. He writes plays for the urban middle class people whose basic needs are taken care of and who strive to achieve their goals in life but are disturbed by the issues of family, individual freedom, corruption, social, and cultural prejudices. Dattani is moved by social issues. Like Bertolt Brecht, he believes that art is a mirror to society. Dattani believes in showing the mirror, but he presents the story and does not judge his characters. On being asked why his audience leaves the theater with a question, searching for an answer on the way back home. So this was again an influence of world drama on Indian English playwrights. So again, moving on to the Indian drama in translation. So here I would like to add a point to it. The post-independence revolution in Indian theatre depended to a large extent on the active translation of the plays from one language to another. And English played an important role as shared mediums of representations. In India, we have the world's oldest, most complex multilingual society in which numerous languages, scripts, literatures, and literate cultures have interacted with each other continuously with, through most of their histories. In the contemporary period, we also have the world's most complex multilingual print and performance cultural existing within our country. Under these conditions, translation is what transports a play beyond the region of its original composition and makes accessible to audiences around the nation. So, the internal history of contemporary languages includes a great deal of translation activity focused on literature and drama from other languages, both Indian and foreign. Now, the translators of Indian drama in English effectively experimented to translate the literary idiom, themes, and techniques originally used by the author in the source text to the translator's target text. There are various approaches to translation. Now, George Steiner, who believes that any human communication is a translation, explains in his book After Babel that translation is not a science but an exact art. According to Steiner, a true translator should be capable of becoming a writer in order to capture what the author of the original text intended to say. So, in learning about the translated play, we are going to take up um, the play by Mohan Rakesh, One Day in Ashada. But before going on to the play by Mohan Rakesh, One Day in Ashada, let us quickly look into Girish Karnad's play Hayavadana, which falls into the post-independence drama. So, Girish Raghunath Karnad. Let us quickly look into a brief bio about this playwright. He was born on May 1938 in Mathan, Maharashtra. He is one of India's brightest shining stars and has earned international acclaim as a playwright, poet, actor, director, critic, and translator. Karnad received the prestigious Central Sangeet Natak Academy Award for his play Hayavadana and also Kamala Devi Chattopadhyaya Award in 1978. His film Samskara won the Best Film Award. He is the recipient of Sahitya Academy, Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, and the Jnanpith Award. He has represented India as an emissary of Indian art and culture. Girish Karnad comes from a Saraswat, Konkani speaking family. He spent his early years in Sirsi in Karnataka. As a young boy, Karnad admired the Yakshagana and the folk theatre in his village and was deeply influenced by them. Karnad was caught in a literary dilemma between portraying the Western thought and native tradition. He was witnessing the India of the 50s and 60s, where two streams of thought existed in all walks of life. The conflict lay in the choice of modern techniques left behind by the British and faithfulness to the cultural past of India. He was as impressed by the Indian folklore tradition as he was mesmerized by the Western playwrights and was certain that a synthesis of both would open to him a new world of magical possibilities. Right. So, theme of incompleteness is what is shown in the play Hayavadana. Now, the present play, Hayavadana by Girish Karnad, is one of the famous Indian play. In this play, gods and goddesses creates main role. The theme of the play is complex one. It begins with an invocation of Lord of Ganesha, who is generally worshipped first among the gods. Karnad reveals the religious sentiments prevalent in our society psychologically and culturally by showing the presence of goddess Kali. The Hindu rituals and superstitions are very well portrayed by showing people offering themselves to Kali. The goddess Kali is used as an advice of existential element. She is terrible in appearance, but is given all the characteristics of human being. Through the use of this device, Karnad shows that there are no ready-made solutions for human problems. So this is a story which revolves around Devadatta, Kapila, and Padmini, the emotion upheavals they face because of transposing of heads. Running parallel is the story of Hayavadana, a horse-headed man who is seeking fulfillment and completion. So Hayavadana is nothing but a horse-headed man who is trying to seek fulfillment and completion. Now, the story has a larger theme of identity and the power of the mind over the body. Characters had a lot of complexity in it. This is one of the most famous plays of Karnad, Girish Karnad, and been inspired by the play which was written by Thomas Mann, The Transposed Heads in 1940. Now, his other major plays are Tughlaq, Yayati, Nagamandala, Tale Dandi, The Fire, and The Rain. And most of the works he had written in Kannada, and also was a translator who translated his works in English in and other languages. Now, looking at his career, he worked for the Oxford University Press, Chennai for 7 years, left the job and got involved with local amateur theatre group and began to write full time for both theatre and film. And he was at the University of Chicago as visiting professor and Fulbright playwright in residence. He served as director of the Film and Television Institute of India, was the chairman of the Sangeet Natak Academy, the National Academy of the Performing Arts, continued to write plays for about 40 years, often using history and mythology to address contemporary themes. He was active in the world of Indian cinema, working as an actor, director, and screenwriter. Now, looking at the themes of this Hayavadana, what are usually infused in his plays, he found a new approach of drawing historical and mythological sources to tackle contemporary themes and existentialist crisis of modern man through characters locked in psychological and philosophical conflicts. In Yayati, he ridicules the ironies of life through characters in Mahabharata. His next was Tughlaq, about a rashly idealist, and the Sultan of Delhi, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, an allegory on the Nehruvian era, which started with ambitious idealism and ended up in disillusionment. Then Nagamandala is again based on a folk tale narrated by a woman, a feminist play which not only exposes male chauvinism, the oppression of women, the great injustice done to them by men, and the patriarchal culture, but also stealthily deflates the concept of chastity. It is recognized as the most creative work of the time. Hayavadana, which was written in 1971, was his third play. Now, this is based on Katha Sarita Sagara, Ocean of the Streams of Stories, is a famous 11th century collection of Indian legends, fairy tales, and folk tales as retold in Sanskrit by a Somadeva, and the further development of this story by Thomas Mann. Hayavadana was based on a theme drawn from the Transposed Heads, a novella by Thomas Mann, which is originally found in the 11th century Sanskrit text Katha Sarita Sagara. Herein, he employed the folk theatre form of Yakshagana. Its stories are drawn from Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavata, and their other epics from both Hindu and Jain and other ancient Indian traditions. Hayavadana was one of the first modern plays to employ traditional theatre techniques. This is a simple love triangle, ends in a comedy and confusing twist of fate in Karnad's Hayavadana. Now, Devadatta and his beautiful wife Padmini find themselves traveling with their faithful friend Kapila. The suspicious husband, convinced of his wife's love for Kapila, beheads himself. The distraught friend, upon learning of Devadatta's deed, takes his own head as well. Only the goddess Kali can remedy the situation and bring the men back from the dead, but just whose head is on whose body? So here the play opens with a puja to Ganesha as the Bhagavata asks that Ganesha bless the performance that he and the company are about to put on. Then he places the audience in the setting of the play Dharmapura and begins to introduce the central characters. The first is Devadatta, the son of a Brahmin, who outshines the other pundits and poets of the kingdom. The second is Kapila, the son of the ironsmith, who is skilled at physical feats of strength. The two are the closest of friends. Now, as the Bhagavata sets up the story, there's a scream of terror off stage. An actor runs on stage screaming that he has seen a creature with a horse head, a man's body, and the voice of a human. The Bhagavata doesn't believe him, and even when the creature enters, the Bhagavata thinks it's a mask and attempts to pull off Hayavadana's head. Upon realizing it's his real head, the Bhagavata listens as Hayavadana explains his origin. He is the son of a princess and a celestial being in horse form, and he's desperate to become a full man. The Bhagavata suggests he go to the temple of Kali as she grants anything anyone asks for. And Hayavadana sets off for the temple, hopeful that Kali will be able to change his head to a human head. So basically, if you look at Hayavadana, it's a fusion of Indian folk tales and modern day Western theatre. Karnad depicts the mythological legend in a very interesting and humorous manner. Hayavadana is all about the theme of incompleteness of human pursuit of perfection, never-ending anxiety of the individual to reach the completeness and extreme complexities of human relationship. Yeah. Let us now move on to the next play, that is A Day in Ashada by Rakesh Mohan. And let us quickly look into the biography of Mohan Rakesh. He was born on 8th January 1925 in Amritsar to Karamchand Guglani, who was a lawyer by profession. His father was also engaged in social work and headed many literary and cultural organizations. Thus, Mohan inherited interest in literature and music from his father. When Mohan was 16 years old, his father passed away, leaving huge debts. Mohan had a great influence of his father. However, after his father passed away, initially it was Mohan's elder sister who took the responsibility of the house till Mohan completed his education. Mohan did his master's in Sanskrit from Lahore, and after the partition of the country, he shifted to Jalandhar with his family. Later, he continued his education and completed master's in Hindi literature too. He initially started his career as a teacher and taught at school and colleges before deciding to take writing as a full-time career. and was an editor of a short story magazine for some time. Later, he shifted to Bombay in search of work. Then he struggled to get a job, and from three, and he struggled to get a job and left with no food and money for some time. Finally, when he decided to pack his luggage, he received the appointment letter from Sydenham College of Commerce to teach as a part-time teacher at a salary of rupees 75 only. He accepted the offer as he experienced hunger. Now, coming to his works, he became known as the top storyteller of the new story movement. Mohan Rakesh is a versatile drama writer and novelist in Hindi. There is a constant evolution in their stories, bringing them closer to the fate of modern humans. His quality was that he was a master of fiction art, and in his words, there is not only a great magic but also a classical discipline. From stories to novels, his narrative is the urban middle class. In some stories, the pain of partition of India is expressed very strongly. After the story, Rakesh has achieved success in the field of drama writing. He succeeded in drama writing after story, and the period behind Bharatendu and Prasad in Hindi drama is the era of Mohan Rakesh, who reunited Hindi drama with theatre. After Bharatendu, Harish Chandra, and Jai Shankar Prasad in Hindi drama literature, if a name comes out, then it is Mohan Rakesh. However, in the meantime, there are many other names that have set important milestones in the development journey of modern Hindi drama. Now, he has written novels like Andere Band Kamre, Na Aane Wala Kal, Antaral, Baklama Khuda. Then coming to the plays, Aade Adhure, Lehron Ki Rajhans, Ashad Ashad Ka Ek Din, Mohan Rakesh Ke Sampurna Natak. Coming to translation, Mrishya Katikam, which is a Sanskrit play, Shakuntalam, again a Sanskrit play, and story anthologies. He had written 10 Pratinidhi Kahaniya, Raat Ki Baahon Mein, Mohan Rakesh Ki Meri Prem Kahaniya. Now, coming to essays, Parvesh, Bakhal Makhud. Now, coming to the play, One Day in Ashad is a 3-act Hindi play. The play originally does not present Kalidasa and his love for Mallika, but it presents Mallika's platonic love and sacrifice for Kalidasa. The title of the play derives from the second verse of the Sanskrit dramatist Kalidasa's play Meghaduta. It means a day in Ashad, that is the month of Ashad. And since the month of Ashad is usually the onset period of the monsoon in North India, the name can be understood to mean one day during the monsoon. So some of the key characters you happen to see them in this play are Kalidasa, who's a protagonist in the play, Mallika, who's a daughter of Ambika and muse of Kalidasa, Vilom, he is the self-proclaimed friend of Kalidasa. He later marries Mallika. Rangini and Sangini, scholars from Ujjain who visit Mallika's home and who also have a very significant role in this play. Ambika, mother of Mallika. Matul is the maternal uncle of Kalidasa. And Priya Manjari, the princess whom Kalidasa marries. Dantul, a gentleman from the royal family. Anuswar and Anunasik, state officials. Nikshep, villagers. Now, his play, Ashad Ka Ek Din, recognized him as a significant playwright of post-independence era. It not only influenced the Hindi literary scenario, but also revived the Hindi theatre significantly. The writing style of Mohan Rakesh was the outcome of the changing post-independence scenarios. Now, looking at the literary style of Mohan Rakesh, he, along with other writers, tried to project human life and anxieties of middle class society, which was undergoing a great shift. He has also focused majorly on man and woman relationships. Specifically, the women's image as a society was shifting. Women then entered into the arena of home and were asserting identity for themselves. This was completely new and raising many conflicts in the domestic life spaces. To draw attention towards the angst and inner turmoil of relationships, the playwright has used the everyday common language. Interestingly, this particular play, Ashad Ka Ek Din, brings Kalidasa into it to portray the essence of the times of Kalidasa, who was a Sanskrit poet and playwright. Rakesh has sprinkled some Sanskrit words and gave poetic feel specifically to be observed in the dialogues of Kalidasa and Mallika. Now, looking at the background of the play, his play is an outcome of feeling and experience when he read the Kalidasa's Meghaduta. He said, when I read Meghadoot, I would feel that the story was less about a disposed yaksh than about a poet's alienated from his own soul that he has poured his guilt realization into his opus. However, it's not a historical play depicting the poet's life. Rather, it presents the tension between art and politics of the time through figures, specifically Kalidasa, the great poet and playwright of Sanskrit, and his muse. Regarding the title, according to Hindu calendar, Ashada is the beginning month of rainy season in India, and it falls between the months of June and July. Since India is largely an agricultural country, Ashada has various other connotations too. Now, here, when you look at the plot and summary of the play is divided into 3 acts. In the following 2 remaining acts continue. Further, the set remains the same, but the swastika paintings gradually fade away and some of the articles go missing. Mallika and Kalidasa are out on a rainy day to enjoy the rain and the nature. Mallika's mother, Ambika, does not like her daughter roaming around with Kalidasa. Mallika returns home and finds her mother annoyed. Kalidasa has taken a vow not to marry, but Mallika loves Kalidasa. A state official come and announces that Kalidasa is to be honored by the king of Ujjain. Kalidasa does not want to accept the honor, but his uncle Matul wants him to accept the honor of the state. Matul, Kalidasa's maternal uncle, comes agitated and angry as Kalidasa does not want to go to Ujjain to accept the honor of the king. They are working on Kalidasa's life. However, Malika does not understand their strange behavior and questions. They return disappointed. Later comes the Gupta princess, who is married to Kalidasa, comes to see Malika. Kalidasa and his wife are on their way to Kashmir. He is the ruler of Kashmir now. Kalidasa does not come to meet Mallika. She is sad but does not show it. After the princess leaves, Willom enters and argues with Mallika and inquires why Kalidasa has not come to her house. Mallika asks Willom to leave. Mallika cries and Ambika soothes her. Mallika buys Kalidasa's works and reads them. It is again the same cloudy, rainy day. Matul, Kalidasa's maternal uncle, comes to Mallika's home. Now, Willem knocks at the door and seeing Kalidasa, shows him his rightful place and refers Kalidasa as guest as he is the owner of the house now. Willem comes and asks Mallika to take care of the guests. Kalidasa and Mallika talks for a while. Suddenly, the child's cry is heard from inside the room. and Malika goes to see the child. Kalidasa finds that Malika is the mother of Willom's child. So Kalidasa leaves the home. Seeing this, Kalidasa leaves the place, and Malika, though wanted to follow Kalidasa's step, stays behind, glancing at the child. Now, looking at the issues and themes of the play. This is conflict between art and politics. So the play shows the inner conflict between art and politics through the character of Kalidasa. Now, Kalidasa does not desire for power, but he does not resist it strongly either. He accepts Malika's words and begins his journey to become a court poet. After reaching there, whatever literary works he produces remains the reflections of his life that he has spent in the village with his muse Malika. He marries the Gupta princess and never wishes to return to see Malika even once. Though he narrates his pains when he meets Malika, but until then he tries to adjust to the polarities of his life. However, he fails to adopt the life of the place. Thus, tired in tattered clothes, he returns to Malika only to find that she's no more belongs to him. Now, he could never be the same Kalidasa when he was in the position of power and authority. He gradually moved away from his former self. The big leap in his life that distanced him from what he considered as great and glorious happened when he married the princess and accepted the political authority. Thus, Kalidasa became Matragupta. He could not maintain the two conflicting sides, that is, Kalidasa and Matragupta, alive together in one person. Thus, he had to leave what was hindering him to get liberated. So, he decides to leave his kingdom and the name and returns to the greatness of art. The play further touches upon the issues like the relationship between man and woman, unrequited love, the conflict between culture and nature, and so on. So, in this way, Mohan Rakesh has presented an imaginative love story based on the legends of Kalidasa. But the way author has created an ancient atmosphere in the play is commendable. The drama ends with an unhappy note, but it presents a reality that we cannot get what we want, but we get what is in our destiny. So let me just sum it up, give you an overall overview of this play, One Day in Ashada by Mohan Rakesh. It's an avant-garde experiment in playwriting. That is, avant-garde is nothing but a new form of experimentation in playwriting. He carved out a modernist play out of a classical play written by Kalidasa. He demonstrated that fine sensibilities and true relationships have no place in a world that awards superficial talent, wherein crass materialistic instincts are bound to take a lead. The theme of the play is the conflict between idealism and selfishness, materialism and finer sensibilities, art and power play, authority and personal liberty, love and success. So, this is a path breaking Hindi play. It is supposed to be a historical romance. It's not a play which glorifies past or dwells just in the emotions of love. It has love, hate, satire, reality, comedy, and pretty much everything else. So it is set in an ancient period, but it can be set easily in any era. We have memorable characters like Kalidasa, Mallika, Priyangumanjari, Vilom, etc., all around us. Well, I hope you all understood, followed the session, and with this, I conclude my session. Thank you.